Well, what an excellent start this is for the NSCI. 7 for 3 now. Another new man comes in. Vishal Patel out here at the crease now. Coming in here at number 5. He wouldn't have thought that he would be having the need to come in so early. It's the semi-final number 1, of course, and in big trouble here. Well, another big appeal and given by the umpire. A delayed reaction. And they are 4 down now. The Juhu Vilepale Gymkhana Club. 7 for 4, would you believe it? A leg before wicket decision. And the second wicket in this over. Brilliant stuff this by Kunal. The left arm spinner doing the job here for his side. And continuing to apply that early pressure. And they're just losing their way here. The Juhu Vilepale Gymkhana Club. 7 for 4, would you believe it? Right then, how do they recover from this here? The Juhu Gymkhana Club. 7 for 4. And the NSCI wouldn't have even thought of this in their wildest dreams. Rohit Saraf coming in here at number 6. We are still inside this power play, remember. And Kunal, the left arm spinner, doing an exceptional job. Once again, beautifully bowled. A front foot defense by Rohit Saraf. Once again, just pushed on the offside. Another dot delivery. And he is closing in now, Kunal, on a double wicket maiden. He's already got 1 maiden over to his name. He's not conceded any runs at all. Well, it won't quite stay in that fashion. It's played nicely on the offside by Rohit Saraf. Gets off the mark. That is now the end of the 4th over. With the score, would you believe it, at 8 for 4 for the Juhu Vilepale Gymkhana Club. Right then, we continue now in this 5th over and still only 8 runs on the board. It's the left arm pacer continuing here. Nicely pushed on the offside by Rohit Saraf. Another dot. Well, important for these two to try and get their eye in here. Rohit and Atul. Anish is continuing, and why shouldn't he? He's taken a couple of early wickets. And how would he love to add a few more to his tally here in this 5th over? Still inside this power play. Nicely played on the offside, but sent back by his partner. A bit of a hesitation. Once again, cut away. And it's cut away very well. Will that find the fence? Well, not quite so. Excellent effort out there in the deep. And a couple of runs taken. So finally they are into the double figures now, in hope of a recovery. Well, we are yet to see a boundary in this game. The semi-final number 1. Once again, just played straight to the fielder. Not quite able to find the gap. This time played nicely towards the fielder at short third. And another single. So Rohit is up and running nicely. He's got his 4th run. One more delivery left now in this 5th over. Well, very important for these two to stay at the crease. Atul coming in here on strike for the very first time in this game. And a delivery once again right in the block hold. Once again an excellent over. And that is now the end of the 5th with the score at 11 for 4 for the Juhu Gymkhana club. So Kunal continuing here and continuing to bowl excellent spinners, angling it away from the right-hander and wanting to search more wickets. He's conceded just the 1 run and taken a couple of wickets in his 2.1 overs. It's an outstanding spell. Outside edge and fallen just short of the slip fielder, has it? Well, very close to getting another wicket. Almost the 5th. Well, what does Rohit do now? Well, maybe a time for a counter punch as well, but they can't afford to lose any more wickets. They could be hoping to try and get to a respectable total, somewhere around 120 maybe. Once again, just pushed on the offside. Brilliantly bowled, keeping things tight. Have a look at that field setup. Absolutely brilliant. Continuing to be attacking. And nicely finding the gap on the offside there, Rohit Saraf. And bringing Atul back on strike, who is yet to get to the mark. So just the 2 more deliveries left in this power play. It was slightly short and couldn't quite take advantage of it. Played straight to the fielder by Atul. And now 1 more delivery left for Kunal in his third. It's the last delivery of the power play now. And once again cut away. There is protection out there in the deep. So Atul is off the mark. And that is now the end of the power play. At the end of the 6th, it is 13 for 4 for the Juhu Vileparle Gymkhana Club. Right then, finally we see a change in the bowling. Is going to be Sunil to continue in this 7th over. So the fielding restrictions have now been uplifted. So it might be a bit more difficult for the batters to try and get some runs. Try and get those boundaries in. Meanwhile, could be slightly easier to get those singles with the field spread. So what does Sunil do now? Well, he's bowled it short. It's cut away. And once again, just a single, finding the man out there in the deep. And bringing Rohit Saraf back on strike, who has been looking good out there for his 5 runs so far, taking his time. This time a low full toss and nicely stopped there. Good feeling of his own bowling. Once again short, pulled away, and that will find the boundary. That's the first boundary of this innings finally. And it's Rohit Saraf who has hit it. Beautifully placed on that leg side over the fielder at square leg. And into the fence it goes for the first time in the semi-final number 1. So maybe happy to see another bowler here getting that boundary in. And they would be hoping for a plenty more. They are way back in this game at the moment. Nicely played on the offside. Played slightly uppishly. A slight misfield allows them to get across for a single. Well, the NSCI right on top, and they wouldn't want to be conceding any extra runs. Well, that was the slight misfield. A good stop in the end though, because an awkward bounce right in front of the fielder. Nicely nudged away on the leg side. Well, they are coming back for the second and they will make it quite comfortably. So all of a sudden some runs for the Juhu Villepale Gymkhana Cricket Club. So just the one more delivery left now in this 7th over. Well, a wide delivery on that occasion. That's the first extra as well in this innings. Sunil wanting to keep it away from the arc of the batter. Unsuccessful in it. Having it to reload this last delivery of the 7th. Once again just tucked away on the leg side. Another quick single taken. So that is now the end of the 7th over with the score at 23 for 4 for the JVP. Well, 23 for 4 now after 7 overs. And another change in the bowling. Well, wanting to keep that last over safe and sound of Kunal, because he's been exceptional. Meanwhile, another left arm spinner continuing. Well, nicely cut away straight to the fielder. Krushanu Shah, the bowler, bowling this 8th over now. Well, not the best of the deliveries and very close to the tram line once again. Beautifully bowled. This time playing it nicely along the carpet on that leg side. Finds protection out there in the deep. Only a single. Well, these two are building a nice little partnership here. It's worth 16 at the moment. They were 7 for 4, remember. They are now 24 for 4. In fact, the partnership is 17 now. And they would need these two to bat at least another 5 to 6 overs from here on. Can't really afford to play any rash shots. And once again, a slight misfield allows them to come back for the second quite comfortably. Once again, just cut away. And another misfield. Well, that has been the feature in the last couple of overs all of a sudden. Maybe the NSCI just taking their eye off the ball. And they would be wanting to rectify that quickly. Well, nonetheless, once again an excellent over. Krushanu this time just conceding 4 runs. And it will stay at 4. Played straight to the slip fielder. That is now the end of the 8th with the score at 27 for 4 for the JVP. So Sunil once again continuing now in this 9th over. How do they get out of this? The JVP. Well, these two are playing sensibly at the moment. Once again playing it straight to the fielder. This time a low full toss. And finds the fielder at long on. Just the 1-4 in this inning so far. And they are happy to knock the ball around at the moment because these two need to try and make sure that they stay at the crease for as long as possible. They need to be well set before they play those big shots. This time a fuller length delivery. Almost a Yorker length, and once again just driven straight to the fielder. And this time it's straight. Once again won't quite find the boundary. Not quite able to hit that one straight enough. Finding the man out there at long on. Well, nicely driven on that occasion. Nicely played on the leg side. Nonetheless, that's end of another over. Once again, just 4 runs coming off it. It is 31 for 4 now at the end of the 9th. So continuing with the same bowler, once again played down the ground. Not quite able to find the fence. Hit very hard. And now played on the offside. Once again beautifully bowled. How close was that? Well, wanting to angle it away from the right-hander, and he's done that one exceptionally well and very close to finding the outside edge. The wicket-keeper and slip fielder, they are right up there to try and take another catch. Outstanding over this once again so far. Just the 1 run coming of it. And now these 3 consecutive dots put some pressure back on the batter. Another swing and a miss. Well, this time an expansive drive. Well, something had to give in after those 3 dot deliveries. And he wanted to play an exceptional stroke through the offside. Not quite able to get any kind of connection. Luckily for him, not even the outside edge. And now 1 more delivery left in this 10th. Rohit Saraf, what does he do? Does he try to keep it out? Well, it's not the best of the deliveries, but still, it's another dot, just the 1 run coming off that over. And at the end of the 10th now, it is 32 for 4 for the JVP. Right, then we continue now finally in this 11th over after that drinks break. And another change in the bowling in this 11th over. Gautam continuing. Well played on the leg side. Will that find the gap? Yes, it does. So the second boundary of this innings. Well, beautifully played. And both the boundaries have come in similar kind of a region. On that leg side towards the square leg region. But slightly behind square on that occasion. And maybe after the drinks break, it is time for them to try and get some runs. Well, they have still another 6 wickets in hand. Well, nicely cut away this time. And a single taken, a quick one. Well, another single taken on that occasion. Well, a much better delivery that one by Gautam. Well, this time behind square, and has that found the boundary again? Yes, it has. So the second boundary of the over. Well, just the kind of the over that they needed here. The JVP. Second boundary. Well, nicely played away in the end. And that is now the end of the 11th over with the score at 44 for 4. Well, in fact, it's been given us 5 wides, rightly so, because I did feel that there was nothing on the bat and the ball just going racing away. So 5 bonus runs for the JVP, and that will help them a lot. Meanwhile, another dot to end the over. That is now the end of the 11th with the score now at 45 for 4 for the JVP. So we start the 12th over now. Krishanu continuing. Well, an appeal for a caught behind, but the umpire says no. Well, once again wanting to drive and beaten for spin. Excellent delivery. Well, once again just played on the offside. Another dot delivery. Well, they got 13 runs in the previous over, and once again another tight over won't help their cause. And they need to try and make sure that they reach somewhere around 120 at the least, so that it will be something to bowl at for the bowlers. This time a slight misfield allows them to get across for a single. Once again played nicely on the offside. Another single. This time it was Atul, who has moved on to 12 now. This partnership has been very good. It's worth 40, but it's been quite slow at the moment. They need to increase their current rate. Well, once again beautifully bowled and played on the offside. So that is now the end of the 12th over with the score at 47 for 4. Just the 2 runs coming off it. Well, Sunil continuing once again a big swing, and somehow it's missed everything. Even the wicket keeper won't quite find the fence, and they get a couple of runs. Well, this time cut away, finds the man at short third, only a single, and that will bring up the 50 finally. 50 for the JVP. How many more can they get in the remaining 46 deliveries in the innings? Well, once again just cut away, finds the man out there in the deep, not quite able to get those boundaries in. Well, once again played nicely on that leg side along the carpet, but only a single. Just the 3 boundaries in this inning so far. Two of them coming off the bat, and one of them as 5 wides. Well, once again hit hard, but straight to the fielder. An excellent stop. So it completely undoes all the slight misfields that have happened out there at the field. That's another dot. And once again playing it along the carpet on that leg side. So that is now the end of the 13th over with the score at 53 for 4. Well, we continue now in this 14th over. Well, they need to try and get some boundaries in now. Maybe it's high time because they can't be affording to hang around here. They need some runs, something to bowl at for the bowlers. Otherwise, the NSCI will be running away with this game. And there is that big shot. Playing that one inside out. And once again, just not quite able to find the boundary. Nonetheless, they get a couple of runs and finally some intent shown by the batters. And now played behind square. Will that run away to the fence? It does. And the fourth boundary, well, it's come off leg buys by the umpire. Once again, not quite off the bat, but it does not matter. Some runs and also the 50 partnership up between the two. 54 it is worth now. Well, 53 rather. Well, they have shown some intent in this over. They've got that boundary. And this time playing it along the carpet. Good sensible way, getting a boundary and then taking the single, rotating the strike. This time was swing and a miss. Well, given as a wide by the umpire, and the bowler not happy at all. Krishanu. He thinks that was inside the tram line. Once again, just cutting that one away. Still one more delivery left in this 14th. Playing it uppishly on the bounce to the fielder. 3 boundary riders on that offside. Nonetheless, that's the end of the 14 now with the score at 64 for 4. Well, Tushar Zaveri continue now in the 15th over. Single taken on the very first delivery. Well, 6 and over gets them to 100, and they would be wanting much more than that. Well, they have done the job here. They have kept those wickets in hand. And can they keep on continuing and try and get some boundaries as well now? Another single at the moment. Well, nicely played on the offside once again. Off the back foot, punched. And in fact, the fielder has taken quite a hit, and we hope that he's alright. He seems to be in some pain out there. Well, we hope that the physio enters the pitch as quickly as possible. Well, it was the awkward bounce, and well, very unlucky there for the fielder. Boy, that's going to hurt a lot. Well, once again, a big heave towards that leg side. Just a single as we continue here. Good to see that the fielder is okay, and good to continue. Well, once again, only a single, and now one more delivery left in this 15th. And another over where only 4 have come off it. And that is a beautiful hit. My word, what a strike. Where has that one come from? First 6 of this innings. Brilliant hit through that offside. And that will make it 10 of the over. And also the end of the 15th with the score now at 74 for 4. And have a look at that stroke again and again. A perfect example of how to play that one through the offside. Brilliant batting. Right then, 5 more overs left in the innings. And he starts off with a maximum Rohit Saraf. A mighty blow. And that's basically back-to-back sixes now for the JVP. And they are right back into this one for sure now. Beautiful hit. And still another 4.5 overs left. Well, 12 and 0 from here on gets them to that 138 total, which will be very competitive in a semi-final like this. Excellent batting by Rohit. In the previous over it was Atul, and now Rohit joining the act. And this time played behind square. Well, the fielder getting a hand to it. And they get a couple of more runs to the total. Well, overthrows as well now. No one backing up. So that's 3 runs added to the total. Once again played on the leg side. And a quick single taken. And this time behind square. Will that run away to the fence? Well, not quite so. The fielder gets across. And only a single. Nonetheless, that's the end of another over, and they are getting right back into it. It's 86 for 4 now after 16. So 4 more overs left. And Tushar continuing. He's played that one in the air. And it lands safely. Well, a very good partnership this. It's worth 80 at the moment between the two. They were 7 for 4, remember, and it's a remarkable recovery. They've got another 23 deliveries left to try and get some quick runs. This time a swing and a miss. Wanting to cut that one away, Rohit Saraf. The man with those long levers of his. More than capable of hitting the long ball. He's already shown that today. And he goes for it again. Played down the ground. And he finds the boundary. So a much needed boundary. Brilliantly played down the ground. A slightly fuller length. And dispatched. One bounce and over the rope. Well, such is the power in the man that the ball reaches the boundary in no time at all. This time played nicely along the carpet on that leg side, only a single. Outstanding innings by Rohit and also Atul. Rohit on 41, Atul on 33 in 47 and 32 deliveries respectively. Well, they would be wanting to try and get that strike rate up. A very good delivery this time. Played back to the bowler. And now one more delivery left in this 17th. Well, hit hard. Played on the offside. Another single. So that is now the end of the 17th over with the score at 93 for 4 for the JVP. Right then, 3 more overs left in the innings. It's a swing and a miss. The wicketkeeper also misses it, but he got something to it which slows down the ball, and they get across for a bye. Well, luckily getting something on it, otherwise it would have run away to the fence. Well, still the current run rate is less than a run a ball, but these final few overs, the two set batters doing an exceptional job. You would fancy them to get at least another 35 from here on. And there he goes. And it's long enough. Brilliant hit. Another maximum for Rohit Saraf. And that also brings up the 100 now for the JVP. 100 for 4. Right, then we continue now. We have finally found the ball. Nicely played on the offside. Quick single taken. And once again he goes big. And that will be his half century. Rohit Saraf. Second six of the over. And it has been an outstanding innings. Coming in here at number 6 with his side in big trouble. And he's just turned the game around, hasn't he? He's kept his side very much in the semi-final number 1 of the MCC 2026. Well, wanting to go for it again. A wild swing and a miss. So now one more delivery left in this 18th. Well, 6 dot, 6 dot. You would expect a 6 coming once again. Well, not quite so. It beats the wicket keeper. And the fielder does extremely well to keep that one in. And they take a couple of runs. So that is now the end of the 18th over with the score at 108 for 4. Well, meanwhile, the 100 partnership is also up between the two. It's 107 now with that single. Tushar Zaveri bowling this penultimate over of the innings. Well, finally, they are in a position where they are going at a runner ball. For the first time in this innings, they are going at 6 and over. And they would be wanting to keep it much higher in the last couple of overs. Well, the score at the moment is 109. And 140 would be a very competitive total, you would feel. Once again, hitting it down the ground for a single. And they won't mind this, the NSCI. They would be wanting to restrict them to somewhere around 120, 125. Well, once again, just pushed on the offside. Happy to play that one along the carpet. It's gone in the air. It lands safely. And they take a couple of runs on this occasion. Good running between the wickets. Well, the score moves on to 113. 8 more deliveries left in the innings. Once again hit hard. He's beaten the bowler, but not quite the fielder at long off, who is pretty straight to stop that one. Excellent over this by Tushar Zaveri. He's conceded just 6 of the first 5. He's not conceded a boundary. Can he get away without giving away a boundary in this 19th? And he's caught a dot. Absolutely golden at this stage. Just the 6 runs coming off that over. And at the end of the 19 now, it's 114 for 4 heading into the last over of the innings. Right then, heading into the last over of the innings. Starting off with a wide delivery. The wicketkeeper not quite able to collect it. Well, Rohit Saraf wanting to keep the strike. He says he's the man for this last over. Well, how many more can they get? Can he push the total somewhere around 130 plus? Well, it is an excellent comeback. An excellent recovery in the context of the game. They were 7 for 4, remember. Once again, a beautiful delivery there. Well, the first one was a wide, but this one was right on the money. Anis doing the job here, the left-arm pacer. He bowled his first 3 overs inside that power play, taking a couple of wickets. And now he's coming to bowl this last over of the innings. Well, it's gone straight up in the air. Chance. Will that be taken? And it's dropped. Would you believe it? And they take only a single on that occasion. Well, that was the opportunity to break this partnership, and Anis will not be happy at all. He would feel that he should have got his third. So what can Atul do now? 4 more deliveries left, once again in the air. Well, the fielders are getting across. Do they come back for the second? Not quite so. So the running between the wickets in this last over hasn't really been up to the mark. Just the 3 runs so far, a wide and a couple of singles along with that dot. 3 more deliveries left. Anis would be wanting to keep it away from the boundary, the ball. Once again, beautifully bowled by Anis. Having a stare at the batter as well, because he's not totally impressed with what Rohit Saraf is trying here. Well, it's been a brilliant innings by him. Worth 58 or 57. He's been the star of the show. And this partnership as well. This partnership worth 110. But it seems like it's maybe just not enough here. Another swing and a miss. They haven't got any boundaries in the last couple of overs. And this is absolutely crucial and absolutely gold dust for the NSCI. Outstanding over by Anis. Just the 3 runs coming off it so far, and he's got 1 more delivery left in this innings. So the last ball of the innings, played hard in the air, and it will be a wicket. So Anis will get his third. Finally, the partnership will be broken on the last delivery of the innings. Well, a brilliant partnership in the end, worth 109. But you would feel that still they are at least another 25 to 30 runs short of where they should have been. 116 for 5 is what the JVP get in their 20 overs. And the target for the NSCI will be 117, less than a run a ball when they come out to chase. And they will be very happy, very pleased with the kind of the performance that the bowlers have put up in the innings. Well, a very good take in the end by the fielder. And Anis, well, he would be having the last laugh. He would feel that he should have got his 4th over much earlier, so that he could have taken that wicket. And we will be back for the chase in a short while from now. Right then, we are back here for the chase. The target 117 for the NSCI to book their place in that final of the MCC 2026. The 40 plus version, of course, the Mumbai's premier club cricket championship. And meanwhile, the JVP, well, they know that they are on the back foot and they would be wanting to get some early wickets. So here we go then, at the start of the second innings. NSCI 117 the target, and straight away the intentions clear. Well, wanting to go for the big heave towards the leg side, and he starts off with a dot delivery. Ankit Zaveri and Paras Zaveri opening the innings here. So it seems like the intentions are clear. They want to make full use of these power play overs. We did not see that many boundaries in the first innings. And this time nicely pushed on the offside, and he gets off the mark. Ankit Zaveri brings Paras on strike for the first time in this game. So Paras taking his time out there in taking the guard. Once again just pushed on the offside. Well, Ankit is halfway through the pitch, and in the end denied, and could have been a close call had the throw come in. He was very quick to turn as well, Ankit, though. And a dot delivery to start off for Paras. Well, they know, the NSCI, that it should not be that of an issue trying to chase down 117. Well, nicely cut away, and that's an excellent shot. It's played perfectly through the gap, and Paras Zaveri is off the mark with a boundary. Have a look at that shot. It was so close to the batter, and somehow he managed to cut that one away. And they get the innings up and running here. They would be wanting to make sure that they get some quick runs inside this power play, so that it is easier for the batters coming in. At times, when you're trying to chase a total and you're trying to be too clever, you just go at a runner ball in the first, and then you start losing wickets, which applies a lot of pressure. So important to start off on the front foot. Nicely pushed on the offside on that occasion. One more delivery left now in this first. 5 runs have come off it. And Pranav, well, he's bowled decently so far. Can he close it out now nicely? He's conceded one boundary. Well, that was an exceptional shot. And once again, beautifully bowled. So that is now the end of the first over, with the score at 5 without a wicket for the NSCI. So it's going to be Amar to continue. 5 without a wicket after the first over for the NSCI, in a very good position. Trying to chase down 117, only 117 to get into that final. And they need some early wickets here, the JVP. It's going to be the left arm spinner, and he will be trying to replicate what Kunal did in the first innings. Gave away just the 1 run in his first 2 overs, taking those couple of wickets. Meanwhile, a single taken there by Ankit Zaveri and bringing the ever lively Paras back on strike. Well, the bowler wanting to make sure that he sets his field correctly. Taking his time out there. So now there is a slip in place. Up against Paras Zaveri. What does he do? Does he go the full Monty up against the spinner inside this power play? Or does he defend it off the back foot? That is exactly what he has done. This time a good shot on the offside. Well, straight to the fielder. He should have stopped that one, but that misfield allows him to get that single. So trying to keep things tight here, the JVP. This time right in the block hole. Nicely bowled. And this time a fuller length. And what a clean hit that is. Brilliant hit by Ankit. Well, Ankit says that he's seen enough and he wants to go big. Downtown he goes, over the rope quite comfortably in the end. And after a tight start to this over, that 6 just spoils it for the bowler. One more delivery left now for Amar. And it's played very hard on the offside, but not quite able to find the gap. And nonetheless, that's the end of the second over now, with the score at 13 without a wicket. So we continue now in this third over. And straight away played it on the offside. Pranav continuing in this third over. Conceded just the 5 runs in his first. Well, they need some early wickets here. The Juhu Vilepale Gymkhana club. Well, this time a big swing, appeal and given by the umpire. So that's the early breakthrough that they were searching for. Well, completely missing it there. Ankit Zaveri not quite able to get any kind of connection on it. And struck right in plumb. It was plumb. An easy decision in the end for the umpire. And just what they needed. The Juhu Vilepale Gymkhana club, and it's 14 for 1 now after 2.2. Well, in comes Tushar. Coming in here at number 3. Well, Pranav getting the early breakthrough, just what they needed. This time nicely left by Tushar. Can they get another one here? The JVP. Well, meanwhile, an excellent shot by Tushar. Beautifully played. The third man was extremely fine, and he's taken full advantage of it. Getting off the mark with that boundary. And even after losing that wicket, they get that boundary in to keep the pressure on. And now less than 100 more required for the NSCI. Well, they shouldn't really be bothered about the early wicket lost, because only 99 more needed of 103 deliveries, and they should get home quite comfortably if they play it sensibly. One more delivery left now in this third. Well, once again it struck the pad, but this time it was definitely too high, and they get across for a leg by. That is now the end of the third over, with the score at 19 for 1 for the NSCI. And we start this fourth over with another boundary. Beautifully struck. Excellent shot through the gap on that offside. And the runs, well, they keep on coming here for the NSCI. Amar continuing here in this fourth over, starting off by giving away a boundary and now a dot. A good comeback after conceding that boundary. Well, they need wickets here, desperately. Well, Tushar has come in here and all of a sudden hit a couple of boundaries. Make that number 3. Beats the fielder out there in the deep. And it seems like Tushar wants to make full use of these power play overs. It was slightly short and pulled away up against the spinner. Well, there was a deep mid-wicket in position, but he couldn't quite get across. Hit that one towards the deep square leg region. This time pushed back to the bowler. So Tushar happy to hit those boundaries and happy to give away those dots as well, respecting the good deliveries, which is good to see, a sign of a very good batter. This time behind square, and the fielder a short third cuts that one off. Takes this quick single and brings Paras back on strike. Well, once again just pushed on the offside. So that is now the end of the fourth over with the score at 28 for 1 for the NSCI. Well, Pranav continuing after taking that wicket. Played nicely towards the third man region for a single. Once again cut away, and the fielder stops that one. Well, for a moment Paras thought that that will run away to the fence as well. Not quite so. So a couple of singles taken at the start of this fifth. Once again just pushing it on the offside for a single. Happy to rotate the strike in this over up against Pranav, who has been very good so far. He's been on the money. This time a dot delivery, played straight to the fielder on that offside. Well, continuing to bowl that off-stump line. Not offering much of a width either. Trying to keep it in close proximity of the batter so that he can ask him to drive and hope that he makes a mistake. And this time a bit more width offered, but not quite able to dispatch that one away to the fence. Another dot, and now one more delivery left in this fifth. Excellent over once again by Pranav, just the 3 runs coming off it. He's got one more left. Can he get away without giving away a boundary? Or maybe even better, and try and get a wicket? Paras, well, he's taking his time out there at the crease. And he's dispatched this one, Paras. Well, that was a nothing delivery. And for the first time, we see a shot on that leg side. Beautifully played. And taking full advantage of it. Behind square on that leg side. A boundary to close out the over. 7 runs coming off it in the end. And at the end of the fifth now, it is 35 for 1 for the NSCI. Right, then we continue now in this last over of the power play. Just 2 fielders outside the inner ring, and it's Hemal bowling the 6th over. And beautifully played through that leg side. Won't quite find the fence though. Finds the man out there in the deep. Only a single for Tushar, and brings Paras back on strike with that boundary of the last delivery of the previous over. Well, this time pushed on the offside, so a dot delivery. And now he goes big. It's gone high in the air. And it's dropped by the fielder. Would you believe it? Well, can't really afford to drop catches like those. They need wickets. And that was a big chance to get the second. Well, a nothing shot in the end. Not really getting underneath it. And that should have been taken by the fielder. And he goes again, but this time it's much better. Well, still it's been dropped. Well, that was it. Really hard and flat. So now 2 more deliveries left in this power play. And this time he connects it sweetly. It will go all the way. Brilliant hit. And just what he wanted, Paras. Finally connects it long enough. Well, that is the end of the 6th over now with the score at 44 for 1 and the end of the power play as well. Right then, we continue now in this 7th over. The fielding restrictions have been uplifted. So 5 fielders allowed outside the inner ring, but not sure exactly if the JVP would be wanting to keep that many fielders outside the inner ring because they need wickets. They need to be attacking. Continuing with Kamal now in this 7th over. Well, once again, beautifully bowled. A couple of dots to start off. Well, how do they get these wickets? Well, if the NSCI play out the 20 overs, definitely they will chase this down, and you would feel the JVP need 9 wickets. 9 good deliveries, which will get them home in the semi-final number 1. Meanwhile, the NSCI are in a pole position to get into that final of the MCC 2026 40 plus. And this time a wide delivery down the leg side. Not quite able to put that one away. And finally he connects one. Played along the carpet. Single taken. This time nicely playing it on that leg side. So happy to keep the ball along the ground, not quite taking those risks to lose your wicket in search of a boundary. Happy to rotate the strike and playing it sensibly. Once again, beautiful piece of running. Just pushing it on the offside and getting across for a single. One more delivery left now in this 7th. 4 have come off it so far. And this time an excellent shot. A dive in. And he's done superbly well to stop that one. He saved a couple of runs at the least for his side. Well, who would say that this is the 40 plus? Well, a standing ovation given by the batting dugout as well. That is how good that was. He's gone 20 years younger on that occasion. Nonetheless, the 50 is up as well for the NSCI. At the end of the 7th now, it is 50 for 1. Well, we start this 8th over. Once again, good sensible cricket. Continuing with the single there. Well, just 66 more required now from 77 deliveries. Making light work of this chase. Playing it sensibly. Just knocking the ball around. This time a big swing and a miss. Well, an appeal for a stumping. And the umpire says no. Well, in pole position here, the NSCI. And can't really throw this one away, can they? Well, once again, just wanting to cut that one away straight to the fielder. Another dot delivery. Well, an excellent over this by Kamal, wanting to keep things tight. In fact, Hemal rather. Just the one run coming of it so far of the first 4 deliveries. Paras Zaveri on 21 of 21, going at a runner ball. And he goes big this time. Brilliant hit. It's gone over the fielder. Well, in fact, he's done really well to stop that one. Well, it's been signaled 4 as it. And yes, given as a 4 in the end by the umpire. Well, for a moment it looked as if it is going over the fielder. Not quite so, maybe the wind just pulling it back. And the fielder with an excellent effort. Yeah, clearly a boundary, crossed the line. But once again, the effort has been top-notch by the fielders out there. Putting his body on the line. And he goes again, and the wicketkeeper has missed it. A lucky break for Paras Zaveri. And that is now the end of the 8th over with the score at 55 for 1. So we continue now in this 9th over. Nicely played on the offside. Another single taken. Happy to do it in singles at the moment. Well, they don't really have anything to worry about here, the NSCI. They have those 9 wickets in hand, just 60 more required, less than a run a ball. And they can take the time out there and ensure the victory quite comfortably rather than playing any rush shots, losing a couple of wickets and allowing the opposition to get back into the game. Because they are right on top and would be wanting to continue in this fashion. Well, once again, cut away. A good looking shot on the offside. Well, a much better delivery. Once again playing it nicely on the offside for another single. So not quite conceding the boundaries here. Kamal. Well, once again hit hard, and he finds the man out there in the deep. Well, for a moment it looked as if it might beat the fielder. Nonetheless, another single. That is now the end of the ninth with the score at 59 for 1, and they have got more than half the runs what were required. So we continue now in this 10th over. Deepak will continue, the left arm spinner, up against the right-handed batter. Well, maybe just wanting to try and use the angle. Well, slightly short, and it's been cut away to the fence. No boundary riders on that offside. There is a deep extra cover and a long off, and there's a big gap out there, and hit very well. And they keep on inching closer and closer in securing that place in the final of the MCC 2026. Well, once again cut away, and this time it's dropped again. Another one. Well, how many of those have we seen? And can't really afford that when you have just 116 on the board. Now it's just a little more than 50 required, 54. In a semi-final like this, the fielding hasn't been up to the mark for the JVP. This time pushes on the offside. Well, wanting to think of taking the single, sent back in the end by the non-striker, Tushar, sensibly in the end, because there's no need at all to rush things and lose your wicket. Just try and stay there till the end. Try and get these runs down comfortably. No need to do anything fancy. It has been a good professional job so far by the NSCI. And now charging down the wicket. Has he got the distance? Yes, he has. Quite comfortably in the end. It was much more flatter. And all of a sudden, 10 runs of this over. 4 to start off, 6 of this delivery. A couple of dots in between. And still 2 more to come. Less than 50 required now. Just 48 more needed. We're responding nicely with the dot delivery. 1 more left in this 10th. And he goes again. Hit hard in the gap. It's crunched through the offside. Make that 14 of the over. Brilliant bit of batting this. Knows exactly where the fielders are. And he's playing with the field now. He's toying with them. Well, that is the end of the 10th. With the score at 73 for 1. And just 44 away now from heading into the final, the NSCI. Right then, we continue now after that drinks break. Just 44 more needed now for the NSCI. Well, they are pretty relaxed at the moment, the NSCI. And why shouldn't they be? Just 44 away from victory, 9 wickets in hand, 10 overs remaining. And they should cruise through into that final. Well, an appeal by the bowler this time. And tucked away in the end. Given as a leg by the umpire. So the pat first. And another run added to the total. And that brings Paras back on strike, who has been striking the ball beautifully, especially in the last couple of overs, especially in the last one, where he got 14 before that drinks break. A couple of 4s and a 6. Sahil bowling this 11th over. Played down the ground for a single. A good stop in the end by the fielder at long on. Well, once again just pushing it on the offside. Single taken. And in fact they come back for the second as well. Well, this time a dot delivery, just 40 more needed. Happy to push it on the offside there, Tushar, and happy to bring Paras back on strike. That is how good Paras has been. This time played off the back foot. Well, an interesting delivery and an interesting defense as well. That is nonetheless the end of the 11th over with the score at 78 for 1. Just 4 runs coming off it. And now only 39 away from victory. So Hemal continuing in this 12th, once again wanting to go big. Not quite able to find the gap, only a single. And he's got the boundary that they were searching for. Well, on the previous delivery, it was a big heave. This time, a thick outside edge past the wicket keeper. Not quite where he intended, but it does not matter. They inch closer and closer, the NSCI. Hemel continuing here in this 12th. It's his third over, of course. None for 19 for him. Well, Pranav got that early wicket, but ever since, this partnership has been very lively. And this time he goes big. And that's long enough. Beautiful hit. That's also his half century. Paras Zaveri moves on to 51 now. 52 in fact with that 6. And he would be wanting to make sure that he finishes it off in style as well. Well, in fact, given as a 4 by the umpire, nonetheless, it still is 50. And now just 30 more needed. Well, once again, hit hard on that leg side. Only a single taken though. Well, meanwhile, another dot delivery. And once again, a quick single taken. So that is now the end of the 12th over with the score at 89 for 1. Just the 28 more needed now of the remaining 8 overs. The asking rate has gone below 4 as well after that over. Right, then we continue now in this 13th. Nicely tucked away on the leg side. Well, it has been a brilliant partnership. It's worth 71 at the moment between the two. Well, we saw the 5th wicket stand for the JVP of 109 in the end. They were 7 for 4, remember. It was a remarkable recovery, but still they couldn't quite get those quick runs in the final few overs. 116 for 5 is what they posted, and in response, the NSCI, well, they lost an early wicket. But it seems like it just does not matter because 117 was always going to be easy. Another single taken. And this time inside out. What a good shot. Brilliantly placed. And this time it's Tushar with another boundary. Well, it's been a while since we have seen a boundary of his bat. He was enjoying himself out there at the non-strikers and watching Paras turn the heat on. And now just 22 more needed for the NSCI. Well, once again, just pushing it on the offside. Good sensible cricket, getting a boundary, then a single, rotating the strike, and bringing the informed Paras back on strike, who has already crossed his half century. 52 now for him of 38 deliveries. And he would be itching to go and wanting to get these runs down quickly and secure that place in that final of the MCC 2026 40 plus. Meanwhile, a dot delivery. And now one more delivery left in this 13th. Well, once again, just cut away. Very nicely played. And he takes the single, he just walks the single, and that is now the end of the 13th with the score at 97 for 1, just 20 away from victory. Right, then we continue now in this 14th over. Starts off with a dot delivery. Gurmeet Ahuja bowling this 14th over. Well, just 20 more away and trying different options here. The left arm spinner played down the ground for a single. Long on fielder, pretty straight, and cuts that one off. So what does Gurmeet have up his sleeve? Well, that's nicely left in the end, but not sure exactly why, because you hardly see that in a T20 game. Well, they have a lot of time to get these 18 runs down. 19 runs rather. Once again playing it on that leg side. And now he goes big. Will that clear the fence? Well, quite comfortably in the end. What a strike by Tushar. Brings up the 100 for the NSCI. It's 105 for 1 now. Just 12 more away from victory. Superbly struck. It just does not get better than that, does it? Brilliant, brilliant hit. A proper cricketing shot. So one more delivery left now in this 14th over. Where does he go now? When it was, in fact, it was Paras who hit that 6. And he goes for it again. Fielder underneath, and he's taken it quite casually in the end. Very good take. And finally they have broken this partnership. Well, Paras, who was batting superbly well, not quite able to finish the game off here. And it's 105 for 2 now. Gurmeet strikes after conceding that 6. Just 12 more away still from victory in the remaining 6 overs. Well, a brilliant performance in the end by Paras, scoring those 60 runs. And he's getting a lot of applause from his teammates. Well, in comes Siddharth Gopalakrishna at number 4. But he will be at the non-striker's end because the wicket came off the last delivery of the over. So Tushar on strike, 12 more needed. Well, Tushar wanting to play that one behind square, given as a wide by the umpire. So brings the target down to 11 more needed. And it seems like Tushar is itching to go. He wants to hit a couple of big hits to finish this game off. Slightly short and hit away on that offside. But once again, protection out there in the deep, and brings Siddharth on strike, who has come in here at number 4. New batter coming in, and maybe an opportunity to try and apply some pressure and try and push this game a little more forward here for the JVP. Well, beautiful delivery on that occasion. Vishal bowling this 15th over. Siddharth not quite able to cut that one away. Well, maybe not the kind of the shot that you would be looking for on the off-stump line. Maybe would have been better had he tried to nudge that one on the leg side. Nonetheless, meanwhile, he plays that one in the air. And it's an excellent stroke. It's in the gap as well. A boundary to start off his innings, and now just a hit away the NSCI from securing that place in the final of the MCC 20-26, 40 plus. Brilliant bit of batting by Siddharth. A shot he would be wanting to watch over and over again when he comes out and sees the highlights for himself. Well, the score moves on to Nelson. Well, a fuller length straight to the fielder. And that will be a wide delivery. So now 5 more needed. Second wide of the over by Vishal. Well, it has been a dominant performance by the NSCI, hasn't it? Getting those early wickets in, and they were right on top in the game right from the start. 7 for 4, would you believe it? And things haven't just been better for the JVP since then. Well, they might have had a 109-run partnership for the 5th wicket, but that was also quite slow, which helped them to post only 116. And 116 was always going to be very difficult to defend. Well, that's another dotted with. That's the end of the 15th now. End of Vishal's over. It's 112 for 2. Just 5 more needed in 5 overs. Right then, Gurmeet is going to continue. And it will be Tushar on strike. Well, Tushar must be thinking just one hit and get your side home and secure that place in the final. So here we go, Gurmeet against Tushar. Well, it's only played back, but the intention is clear. Charging down the wicket. Not quite able to get underneath that one. A dot delivery to start off for Gurmeet. Well, this time pushed on the offside. So bringing Siddharth back on strike, and now 4 more needed with that single. So Siddharth cuts that one away, finds the fielder at short third. So now a slip in place. Well, wanting to be attacking and wanting to try and take some wickets here. Gurmeet has one already. That wicket of Paras. Well, interesting to see what is there on Siddharth's mind. Well, once again, short cut away. And will that find the fence? Yes, it does. So that is the winning shot off the bat of Siddharth. And the NSCI have secured their place in that final of the MCC 2026 40 plus. Well, it has been a brilliant performance, a totally dominant performance by the NSCI. A game where the JVP couldn't quite get going. They were 7 for 4 at the start of the innings. They lost their game inside their own power play itself. Well, that partnership between the two for 109 in the end between Rohit and Atul, still not enough. As you can see in the match summary, 58 not out of 57 by Rohit Sharaf, 37 of 42 for Atul. But have a look at that. Anis 3 for 12 and Kunal 2 for 15 in the 4 overs. They did the job inside that power play. And in response, the NSCI are quite comfortable in the end. Paras Zaveri 60 of 44. Tushar supporting 36 of 36. A wicket for Gurmeet and Pranav. But always never going to be enough. And the NSCI win this game by 8 wickets and 26 balls to spare. Well, that was it from this game. And until next time, goodbye.